We'll wait. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. This is almost our biggest crowd. I don't want you to get a big head, so I won't tell you. I'm Tim. I'm the. If you've submitted a script, it's me who sends you notes, and otherwise just talks to you and answers your emails. So thank you so much. We're LiveRead LA. How many of you have been here before? Who's been here before? Oh, okay. The rest of you will pick it up as we go along. We want to say first, welcome to our insider. If you haven't been here before, we have an industry insider in attendance tonight. Actually, more than one as it turns out, but we'll get to that. Mickey Fisher is sitting down the front, and I would like everybody to welcome him. Thank you, thanks for coming. And he just left. You're in. Where are you at with Reverie? You're in.
Where physically?
I mean, you're at the writing stage.
We're in the writing room, yeah, right.
Right. So Mickey's running the writing room for Reverie, which is a show on NBC that will come in the mid-season-ish. So anyway, also a big congratulations to our two writers. We have Camille and Randall somewhere in the audience. Well done. So I'm going to stop talking shortly. We have a couple of rules for the audience. What happens is we're going to, the actors are going to come on stage and do the first script. Camille's script will be first, by the way. And then Mickey and I will come on stage with Camille. We'll give her some feedback. We will then open it up to you guys to give some feedback. Our rule is you can take no more than 2 minutes with your feedback. We don't want anybody getting on a rant. Trust me, it's ugly. And then there are a couple of things to think about while you're listening if you want to give feedback. One, we don't care about your opinion of the writer and their talent. So we don't want anybody saying, hey, you're really great, or you suck. That's not why we're here. Two, so we want the feedback to be constructive and objective. Doesn't mean you have to sugarcoat it, just be useful. Don't just say, make it funnier, that kind of stuff. That's like awkward. The other thing we want to avoid is pitches. So it's like, this was set as a Western, but it'd be a really great musical. That's not helpful either. We respect what the writers have brought in here. Our job is to try and make them better. We're not presenting a sort of a showcase. We're presenting scripts that are in the sort of rewrite phase, and we want to help. So we're here to help. So think about that as you're thinking about what notes you want to give. And otherwise, I think that's about it. I also want to have I don't know if Melanie's in the room. Okay, I'll thank her later on. Let's get going, shall we? People who are in Camille's script. Oh, Camille's is a short film. It's our first one, so I'm curious to see how it flies. So let's do it.
Hush, little baby. Interior, prison, visitor registration day. It's cold. Concrete walls have that effect. A woman adds her name to the bottom of a list. Lacey Bennett. She's about 25 years old, but the bags under her eyes say she could be older. She slides a clipboard back to a prison guard, a heavyset woman in her 40s. The guard on duty nameplate says, Melinda. Lacey's darting eyes give away her nerves. Melinda slides her driver's license back to her. Melinda clocks her discomfort.
Hey, Lacey. Breathe. Doesn't get any easier.
Another guard, Sonia, whippet thin, 50s, snickers as she barely looks up from the pile of papers she's sorting.
Thanks, Melinda.
Been here 2 minutes and she doesn't know how to use your name?
I've been here before.
Not when I've been here.
Sonia snorts, finds what she needs, and leaves.
Into the hall.
Yeah, thanks.
Lacey leaves. Interior, prison hallway, day. She walks down the hall. Buzz. She speeds up. Interior, prison, visitation room, day. Lacey sits at a stall. Other visitors and neighboring ones. Thick glass separates her from a man in his 60s, in handcuffs, wearing a bright orange jumpsuit. This is Richard, her father, in prison. They each hold telephone receivers to their ears. Lacey takes in his bright attire.
That never gets old, huh?
Actually, it does.
No, it's just like in the movies, just as glamorous too, huh? Your mother?
She's fine.
Yeah, she's always been so busy, your mother. He never picks up. How's the new place?
Small.
You mean intimate? Well, yeah. We thought, selling would bring in some cash. It's all tied up still, huh?
She doesn't talk about that stuff with us.
Well, she's got the money. I mean, I know because I made it. And then that Randy guy was an a-hole. Took forever. I mean, meanwhile, it's like he's sipping champagne, eating grapes from the paws of babes like a Greek god, for Christ's sake. Like, what was he doing that whole year?
It's a lot to get.
I have the new guy on it now, though, Phil.
Yeah, I got him the letter.
Oh, you did, right. He doesn't come around here much, but I have a better feeling about him. He's on the finances now. He's going through it with your mother, but it's all semantics, semantics, always semantics. But hey, that's parent stuff, huh? So how's your brother and sister? How they doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. The food's not bad in here. Always way more than I can finish, but I see some of these guys, just gorging themselves, just eating and eating and eating. And it doesn't taste like much either, so it's one up from your mother's. She always tried, though. I love her. She's a woman who tries.
He leans in like he's got a surprise for her.
Hey, sweetie. So this Phil guy said it could be way shorter than we think. I mean, he thinks he can file this thing to go back to the court to bump it down to 3 years max. And I mean, they don't treat these kinds of things like murder or anything. He actually thinks he can even get me off scotch-free. I mean, that's what they say, isn't it? Scotch-free.
Again?
Well, I mean, it all depends on if they can get their shit together and let him argue it, right? I mean, prove it was just a mix-up.
A mix-up?
Yeah, a mix-up. I mean, you click on a thing, then another thing with these systems and these computers. You're just chatting away online. I mean, how was I supposed to know who I was talking to? Plus, it wasn't even years like they say. Barely. I mean, Phil says that if you calculate it from the time...
Lacey jumps as the gate opens. Richard's unfazed, so he finds it funny.
You should hear this place at night. The screaming, the fighting, it's like Gladiator in here. Oh, the blood, pouring through the hallways, like that Shining. Remember when we watched that one night at the cottage, huh? Oh, your mother was so mad.
Just then, an inmate walks into Richard. Hard. Now he jumps.
Hey, excuse you.
Fucking pedo.
Inmate?
That guy is nuts. Looks for opportunities to just show off. He gets pushed around a lot. But not your poppy. Bunch of very unstable jerk-offs, that's what. They like me in here, though, because they feel like they know me. I mean, I can talk to anyone. That's where you get it from, man. Just like your dad. It's nice to see you, sweetie. Huh? I think you're the last one left. The last one. Hey, they let people visit for Easter. Families. See if you can get everyone over. I'd love to see them all. All of them. Your brother and sister, but they're always going to some party of Jason's. Working. He's always working and working and
Jay
working.
got laid off.
Your mother can come.
Did you hear me? Jason got fired.
Yes, honey, I heard you. Anyway, get your mother over here, huh? And Lily. Oh God, Lily. I can't wait to see her, huh? And everyone, but Lily.
I'm not bringing Lily here. She's too young to be in a prison.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I can't wait to see how big she is, though. I hope some of you can come. It'll be nice, you know. I mean, so fresh finally. It's so cold in here in the winter. I'd ask you to bring me a big comfy blanket or something, but did you know some guys in here apparently were getting razor blades snuck into their gifts, you know, handmade knit scarves, you know, their grandmothers are making them, you know, hats. This one guy had a blanket, a wool one, and they can slip things into them because the material is so thick, right? I mean, and so we're not allowed to get them anymore, huh? Criminals, ruining it for everyone else.
I'm pretty sure that's not true.
No. It is. Even in the movies and
I'm
stuff.
pretty sure that no one has ever been allowed to have anything brought into maximum security.
Oh yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, either way I can dream, right? I can dream that you could bring me some homemade macaroons, or you could paint me some Easter eggs. The shells would probably be too sharp.
I have a question for you.
Well, I got time to answer.
You have to promise me you'll tell me the truth.
Oh, okay. Like what? Like a pinky swear?
He reaches his cupped hands towards the glass, pinky out, balancing the phone on his shoulder, enjoying what he thinks is a game. A kid's game.
No, not like a fucking pinky swear. Like a real promise.
Oh, Lacey. I love it when you come to see me. I do. It makes your old dad happy. But I don't like it when you come here to give me shit.
Do you swear?
Yes, honey, I swear. With my pinky.
You have to tell me the truth, or I won't come back. I won't. Have you ever done anything to Lily?
Never. I would never.
Or me? I keep trying to remember. They say sometimes people block it out. I read a couple articles. I can't remember.
No.
Jay? Sarah? And Lily, you swear.
Yes.
Have you ever even just thought of her like that? I just need the truth, Daddy. I'm so tired. I'm the last one, Daddy. You know that. They don't want to come here. They don't want me to come here. And I won't come back if you lie to me. Have you ever even thought about it?
They stare at each other in a melancholic standoff. He searches her eyes. She's a rock, stronger than he'll ever be. Then, with desperation in his voice, he speaks. It's soft, but he begs with his words.
I have a sickness, Lee. It's a thing I can't control.
He holds his head in her shackled hands, crumbling. He looks back at her, a broken man this time. He puts the receiver back to his ear.
But she's my blood. You're my blood. I would never lay a finger on either of you. Any of you. Never.
She hangs on his last words and the sudden new meaning they've added. Then suddenly, everything shifts. She stares at his shoulder, the spot where his shirt had moved when he was crumpled over. She can't take her eyes off of it. A nasty bruise, a plethora of dark colors.
What is that?
What? What?
On your shoulder, your neck. What is that?
He moves his shirt back quickly.
What is that? How did you get that?
Some of the guys in here, they're not so nice to people they think aren't nice to kids. I didn't hurt anyone, but they don't like it if they think you could have. And even if you lie to them, they don't believe you. The possibility, that's enough. They keep me alone mostly, but the truth is, not everyone in here is the nicest to your Poppy.
Then, like a surging wave, the realization hits. Her aging father is getting the shit kicked out of him.
Daddy, you're all black. You're purple.
Finally, Lacey breaks. Her sobs echo through the room. Some visitors on her side of the glass take notice, but most ignore the everyday occurrence. Richard can't do anything but sit and wait. So he sits and waits. He watches the strife pour onto the counter. He waits and waits for her to stop. Then, just as quickly as she started, she stops. She wipes her face, utterly exhausted.
Okay, Daddy. Goodbye.
He can barely hear her through the glass, but there's something different in her voice. He tries to ignore it. She picks up the phone again.
Okay. Okay, sweetie. I'll see you next time. Huh? I mean, come alone if you have to. Daddy-daughter time? Huh? Just some daddy-daughter time?
Goodbye, Daddy. I have to go now.
Lacey, when do you want to come back? I mean, it doesn't have to be some holiday. Just tell me when. I like to mark it in my calendar.
I love you.
She hangs up the phone. She watches her hand-cut father again. She watches him through the glass. His panic builds.
I love you so much. I love you. I'm sorry, Daddy, I have to go. But I love you.
She gets up and walks towards the exit.
Sweetie!
He follows on his side, yelling.
Lacey! When are you coming back? Lee!
Other visitors and inmates are watching now, absorbed in the commotion.
I told you the truth, baby! Lee! I swear, honey! I fucking swear! I told you the truth!
She stands at the gate now, grabbing onto it, her knuckles white. Behind her, 2 guards approach Richard, trying to calm him down as his screams continue to permeate the glass. Just grotesque sounds of desperation now. One of the guards takes out his baton at the ready. The gate opens, and Lacey is gone.
Lee! Lee!
The end.
Goodness me, we like to dive right in there.
That was intense.
Yeah. Camille.
Sorry, I'm wiping the snot off my face. They were so Oh, this is so like me. Hang on 1 second, just gonna.
It's all right.
I'm a writer, what can I say?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, one is really, really powerful. Beautiful dialogue. I thought excellent. Great build up to that turn, to the big moment of that. I think for me, like, you did such a great job, and then I preface all this by saying it to everybody too. This is one, grain of salt, one person's opinion. I feel like I always had preface that way. For me, I feel like you did such a great job toward the end of putting you in her emotional state of mind, like the moment she notices the rumpled shirt of his and things like that too, and the idea that she feels like had been stealing herself to build up to this big question. Today's the day. She's come here a number of times, enough that the guards know her and that sort of thing too. And this is the day that she's going to ask him this question and really push him for it. I feel like I would like to have seen a little bit more of her state of mind at the beginning. And like a little bit who is she, because she's so nonverbal throughout it too. And there might be a lot of stuff in the script too in terms of like her sort of emotional state and psychologically where she is. But even in terms of before the guard even comes in, like what's her state of mind there? Do we get to see the moment that she's making that turn, like, this is it, today is the day, I'm not going to take no for an answer, I'm going to find out the truth. Yeah. Like whatever are the little details she notices, and even a little bit through, because he does so much talking to keep to keep the ball rolling, and like I said, she's sort of so not stonewalling him, but she's waiting for her moment and building up her courage. I feel like I would like to, and especially on the page, like if people were reading, I would want to be taken inside her head a little bit and her heart a little bit more through that stuff, because you did a fantastic job at the end, and then the end sequence of her being let out and stuff too. So those are my biggest things, I think.
I agree, and it's funny because I felt that too. This is the first time I've heard it like with a bunch of different actors. And
absolutely.
But no, I felt that. There were moments when I'm like, when's Lacey gonna talk? And I'm like, shut up, you wrote it. But it's a great indicator.
But I don't know how much. Yeah, I mean, it's good, and I'm not sure how much you want her to talk really, because if it is like, okay, I know I have to do this today. Today's the day I have to do this. But I feel you've got an opportunity to take us in her mind from the get-go, and it's so saluted about who she is by even the littlest of things. You can do a lot in like bold strokes with tiny moves. That for me. But I thought the dialogue was excellent, and I thought it was really, really powerful and moving. So
I thought it was shit.
We've already talked about this. I've been put through the ringer by this guy. No, I agree with all that. I confess there were moments in the beginning where it was like, can we get to the reveal, or can we move it? Like it just hung around in like second gear for like a page. Yeah. One page too long. It felt like. Mm-hmm. Like the preamble, just from I don't know, you could feel it obviously. Mm-hmm. So, and then the only other point I have is that Lily, I think she needs to be clearer that it's her daughter. Okay. I don't think that came across. I'd be curious to see what people think, but I don't think that was driven home enough. Okay. So I would, and that's easy. That's an easy fix. But that was one thing that was a bit confusing. It was like, who's Lily? I was struggling with the the thing that we were talking about earlier, the dancing around kind of thing. Right. Because I was like, but what would they say? Like, would they sit there being like, and how's your daughter, my granddaughter Lily? Like, and I know that that's not it. Like, of course, there's an infinite amount of ways to do that.
But that's what grandparents do, though. I mean, how's my little granddaughter? How's she doing? Yeah. And Lacey can even be guarded about that. It's like, that's not your, it's sort of, that can be an indicator. It's like, I'm not telling you about my child, or it's like, why do you care so much about children? Or I mean, something that there's an opportunity there in that, even in that exchange, to sort of give us a little bit more of a peek inside where Lacey's going with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So that would be it. But otherwise, I mean, what I love about reading these things on the page and then hearing them airing out is that you do get that sense that you can't see when you read it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, let's turn it over to peeps out there in the crowd. Remember, you get 2 minutes. You can say whatever. I see a hand in the back there.
You do.
Oh, thank you.
So I wanted to say, when we were talking about when is Lacey going to speak, for me, the opportune moment, and I don't know if this is when you want the audience to want her to speak and have her not speak, or if she really should speak, but when he's rambling on about the chat rooms, which if he's in maximum security,
makes sense. Yes, lady with the glasses.
I think another great opportunity for you to show Lacey not being passive, that she's holding everything in as best she can, is when he does bring up Lily's name. And that's where she can show a bit of emotion, where she's just like, don't talk about her, or we're not going to go there, or whatever, because she does have the reveal later. But that's a moment where Lacey could turn not so passive into like the weight of the world that she has on her, and then show it through a bit of a dialogue.
That's a good point, because it speaks to her, you can really show her mixed feelings and her ambivalence of the whole process, because up until that point she sort of is just batting him away or being relatively pleasant. So there's an opportunity to be like, oh, okay, there's some intensity into her feelings too. Do you know what I mean? Which will be revealed later on. Lovely. Anyone else? TJ, remember 2 minutes.
I feel like from moment one, he wants one thing. He wants her to say she loves him. And he's angling. Every word, everything he says is calculated to get that reaction. And once she says it, and she does say it very emotionally at the end, he should shut up. That's done. He got what he wanted. Now, whether she does say that is something that is going to, maybe depending upon how you think about this in future. Is he telling the truth? Is he lying? Does she believe anything that he says? Does she love him?
Would it be?
It's very powerful, and it's because he's going to. That's the one thing that he can take to lunch and breakfast and dinner. That's the only thing he's going to be playing with, like a Rubik's cube for quite some time. So very good build up, very good dialogue, kind of sparse shorthand between them. It was good.
Would it be love or would it be forgiveness? Would it be love or would it be forgiveness? Would he be looking for the "I forgive you" or "It's okay"? Or you think that would be?
He wants a positive response because nobody's coming to see him.
Right.
And she wants reassurance that
he's not a monster.
Nothing has happened.
So you're saying that the word love is like her weapon, her ammunition that she has. It's quite powerful, and she
Maybe it means two different things to individuals.
She gets an opportunity to pass it out or not pass it out.
I think a lot of it is that I love you, and that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it like that, but that I love you, I think will mean something different to both of them, and it'll haunt both of them in different ways forever.
Yep.
I really enjoyed this. What I kind of craved, maybe to Mickey's point, is the beginning feels very claustrophobic, and because we know we're in a prison and we kind of know there are guards, there's not a build-up for me to see a bigger turn emotionally for her, because you know that she's going to walk into this place and something's going to happen. So I kind of feel the need to open up on her world on a phone call, something to see what she cares about. And she doesn't have to say anything, but we can hear the other side of that conversation, especially in film, to relate where she's coming from. Then you open it up and see the idea of a prison, and that way the turn for her can be fun in the emotion.
Camille's shooting this, by the way, in about 6 days. So if your idea is cheap, then she can incorporate it.
But if I may just jump in and piggyback on that, but, I mean, and to your thing too, like that may be a moment too that you could reveal a little something about Lily. There could be some hint, something, that's like a small thing, physical detail, something she's carrying her whole, that takes us into her, her mindset a little bit. And it doesn't, and you can bury it. It doesn't have to mean, you don't have to weight it down with anything, or afraid of anything. It's just a little bit who this person is, and then it comes back and that's that much more powerful later when you're like, this is the, that's the little girlie she's talking about.
Right.
Taylor.
Yes.
Yep.
I thought it was great. I would add that I think that there's a way to explore a little bit more about her past, because one thing that came up and then it was just sort of dismissed was her wondering if something had happened to her. And I thought if we wanted to give her more dialogue, that might be a way to somehow layer in that background that may or may not have happened. because we don't know. And maybe you don't want everyone to know if something happened or didn't happen, but we still aren't sure, so maybe that's a way of...
And I think that is a very important part of it, but I think that's just it. You know, the fact that she cannot remember and that she will never know if he's telling the truth. And that to me just like...
And I'm not saying you should give it away or anything like that, but I'm saying there might be something, a way to layer that a little deeper.
To set it up so that question is completely evident, and
Exactly.
then when we don't get the answer, yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
All right, very good. Come on, Whit at the back there, I see.
This is an observation somewhere in that realm. It's not really a note, but what I find interesting about the question is that she doesn't just ask it about herself. She may not remember about herself, but when I heard the rest of the question, did you ever do anything to Lily? Did you ever do anything to my brothers and sisters? I don't know that she doesn't know something. In other words, I don't know if she's asking him this because she wants to be reassured that he never did anything, or if she really is asking it because she knows something and she'll know if he's lying.
Right.
Did he do? So when I heard that, I thought, wow, we just opened up this amazing Pandora's box where it's a power relationship too. It's like the father is going, what does she know? You know what I mean? Or I'm completely innocent. What does she think? You know what I mean? There's just so much going on in that deeper question. If it's just about her, it's one thing, but I love the fact that you spread it out to everyone else, because now it's setting a whole new minefield for the father. And we also don't know. Does she know something? You know, does she, and is he lying? I think that's great. I think that's really interesting writing, because it creates a real conundrum for your actors, your characters, and for your audience. So.
Great. Well, I don't know if I had thought about it like that, so I may have done it by accident. So thanks. Write that one a little check mark.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. For me, I like the change in dynamic too. That the father was sort of felt like he was in control at the beginning, and by the end he was out of control. That to me was really impactful to me, which was a great job by you. Okay, a couple more, and then we'll move on. I see the gentleman out there who's had his hand up for a while. Yes, you.
Hi. I really liked it when you had members of the jail and the prison and the guards kind of interrupting into their conversation. And maybe I missed this, but is there a time limitation to how long their visits can be?
I believe that is a good one, though. I've been working with a couple of cops in the Toronto region, where I'm from.
By the way, Camille flew in from Canada to be here tonight.
From Canada!
Canada! This is how important we are, everybody.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
But that is a question that I haven't asked specifically, so I'm going to make a note of that right now.
I was just thinking, as a tool to help move that moment when she has to confront him with it, it might
right, not much time left.
To
right.
Force that confrontation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. That. Yeah. You're right. And then it peppers it back in, so that it peppers the world back in.
Yeah.
Kind of.
We know what you're saying.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sammy, did you have?
Yeah, just on the question about whether it was clear that Lily was the daughter. I thought it was another sibling. I wasn't super clear about whether it was the daughter or not. And I also just may have missed something in there. But I think that that's a really delicious opportunity for how it's different talking about her brother and sister versus talking about her own child, especially because that comes up before we know why he's in there. Because I was like, oh, well, she's visiting her dad in jail. Of course, she's going to be on edge and nervous. And I completely didn't understand the scope. And then it was a great, oh shit, moment when I figured it out. But that her reaction, kind of just what someone else had said earlier, is that that's a really different topic of conversation for her. I think that's a great opportunity that you set yourself up for.
All right, we'll take one more. Anthony and his writing partner.
Just this note comes only from the context of seeing the amazing ending and seeing it performed so incredibly well. But we're talking about it getting, like, landing on a second gear moment where it feels like we're stalling a little bit. Is there, in him trying to evade this question, like is his only goal. Is there a memory that he can bring up or some sort of story or something that can really get like an almost warm reaction out of her? And just to divert just a little bit, it's the shining in the cabin. It's something.
That's what it actually was. That is, at that moment, I don't remember which of the 3,000 edits it was in, but there's a moment when he starts talking about the movie and when it says that the memory starts to surface for her, and she's enjoying it. Yeah, and then that's when
it worked
his
amazing
thing
here,
gets hit
and
there.
that's why I remember this.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, no, for sure. And the funny thing is that the story actually started with, in the moments when I couldn't sleep at night, as I often can't, I saw this father and this daughter in like a gray and blue prison just talking. And there she goes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I stopped apologizing for being emotional a long time ago. And so much of it was said in just the way that they looked at each other back and forth. And I don't know where it came from, but the original idea was to have them live this incredibly intense moment in both their lives in 100 words or less. And then it became like 3,000 words. And I've since been scaling it back more and more and more and more. And I've actually done another edit. I did another edit on the plane yesterday, but I wanted to come here first. And then Tim gave me some lovely notes. And I took his advice. I sent him this new edit, and I said, fine, I stopped being stubborn. I trimmed a bunch of the fat. And I've just been doing that more and more, and I've been listening to them speak, and this helped so much because it was so lovely to listen to you all speak. Thank you so much. You put so much life into it. And it's exciting.
That was my question, because what we like to ask the writers is, what did you gain from hearing it? So you're already...
Yeah, I mean, I'd like for Richard to just calm the fuck down and shut up a little bit, which he's going to do. And I want for them to take those moments with one another. I know, as much as I know my family, we still have awkward moments where we just, we all have this with anyone close to us. We find these blocks and we can't get around them, and it's so awkward. We just want to get out of that situation, right? And I think that this is like one of those big, giant moments where they just can't get to each other. And I think living through those moments of not just awkwardness, but of the anxiety of it, that's what makes us feel, I think. And that's what I'd like to do with it now. It was so great to hear it out loud, and you do hear the things where you go, that's not true to them. Mm-hmm. That's not true to them, but yeah, here they probably would go this way. Like some of the great suggestions that everyone had tonight. Yeah, they would talk more about this. Yeah, they would talk more about Lily. The interesting thing with Lily and Jay and Sarah and me is I've reworked the order in which she asks so many times, because each order means something different.
Yeah.
Right? And I haven't yet decided on it. And I think when I finally decide on it, my actor who's playing Richard will be very thankful.
Or you just shoot it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Find it in post.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well done. Thank you so
you.
much. Eric, Camille, you ready?
Avalon, written by Randall Knox. Chapter 1, Get Lucky. Interior, palace hallway, night. A seemingly ancient castle hall, smooth stone walls covered in tapestries lit by torches. Royal guards stand in front of oak double doors. Their armor seems medieval, but they hold very modern assault rifles. This ain't the Dark Ages. Distant gunfire echoes down the hall. The guards are nervous. Suddenly, a grenade clatters around the corner. They brace for the explosion, but it instead coughs a thick cloud of smoke. The men raise their weapons. From the expanding haze, we hear the unmistakable sound of a sword being unsheathed. Interior palace, royal court continuous. A massively ornate room, which would ordinarily be home to a host of lords and ladies trying to curry favor. Tonight, however, it is shrouded in darkness. A lone figure kneels in front of the throne, praying, as gunshots and men yelling carry ominously from the other side of the oak doors. A simple gold crown sits on his head. This is the king. The gunfire stops. Silence. The oak doors fly open and smoke drifts into the chamber. A solitary knight enters, face obscured by smoke and shadow. He holds a bloody sword in one hand, a handgun in the other. The knight approaches the kneeling king, who does not turn.
I've had
dreams of the end for many years. I'll be honest, it was never like this.
The blame for that rests solely on your shoulders.
It always has.
The king stands, picking up his sword from the ground next to him, and turns to face the lone knight. The king raises the blade, which glimmers with a faint hint of, is it magic?
I'm sorry, my old friend.
The knight tosses his gun away and readies his sword. We still don't get a good look at his face.
So am I.
A pause. Then they run at each other, swords prepared. Cut to black. Super, 25 years later. Interior airliner cabin, afternoon. A kid, 12, probably homeschooled, sits in his seat trying to tear open a particularly obstinate bag of airline peanuts. Frustrated, he slams the package down on his tray table.
Nervous flyer?
The kid looks around the aisle at the question. A man who knows he can pull off a gray suit with a Hawaiian shirt, and thus does, grins back at him. This is Carter Benton.
Never flown before. You'll get used to it. Usually goes over pretty smoothly. Usually?
A beeping emits from Carter's pocket. He pulls out a digital timer and presses a button, silencing it.
Yeah, there'll be some rough flights in there every now and then. Just can't let them stop you from enjoying the world.
Carter stands.
Fist with your toes. Huh? Yeah, I guess you're a little young for that reference.
Carter heads towards the front of the plane. A woman who gives off the vibe that she's over everything, Hannah, 25, begins to stand. He stops short of her and gestures.
After you.
She throws him a haughty eye roll and stands up. He grins, enjoying the response, and follows her up the aisle. Titus, 28, Mean Joe Green with glasses, gets up from his seat and follows Carter ominously towards the front. Interior airliner galley moments later. Carter walks into the galley where Hannah has her laptop out on the counter, struggling to remove the bottom of the case.
Need any help, miss?
I've got it. Thank you.
You sure? I don't mind.
God damn it. What is it with men and...
Something wrong?
No, she's just...
Carter's being a prick.
Ah, they know each other. Titus pulls the curtain close.
I'm being a prick.
You always do this.
Well, if you would hurry.
Fuck off.
With a bit of effort, she manages to pop the laptop open. She detaches a circuit board and hands it to Carter. Titus pulls out 2 travel coffee mugs from his backpack and removes a silver cylinder from each one. Carter attaches them along each side of the circuit board. The curtain flies open and an airline steward, Richard, 32, who seems to have spent years sculpting his physique, and yet somehow forgot to get a decent haircut, waltzes in.
What's the dealio, Emilios?
What?
Richard closes the curtain.
Well, we're passing the coast in like 20 minutes, and you don't even have the package together.
We're working on it, all right? The uniform looks good on you. Where's the owner?
Napping in the back bathroom for the last hour. It's a little tight, though.
As Richard fiddles with the snug uniform, Carter pulls out the digital timer from his pocket and attaches it to the circuits, confirming our suspicions. This is a fucking bomb.
Ready?
Interior airliner cabin moments later. The forward cabin curtains open and Carter walks out holding the plane's intercom.
Ladies and gentlemen, a quick announcement. This...
He holds up a device.
...is a bomb.
Cries of panic immediately erupt from the passengers.
Easy, people. I'm not finished, okay? We are not terrorists. We do not want to blow you up, or trade you for some guerrilla fighters who are dumb enough to get caught. This is a bomb, and this...
He gestures out at the cabin as his cohorts walk past him.
...is a robbery.
The 3 accomplices fan out across the cabin, each of them holding a small blue drawstring bag.
My friends will be walking by your seats. Think of them as your neighborhood recycling crew. All plastic goes into the blue bags.
No one moves.
Shit. Okay. So this is the part where you start getting out your credit cards because the man with the explosive device said so.
People begin shifting in their seats, pulling out their credit cards and dropping them into the blue bags.
I should also say we only intend to steal from your evil credit card company. We don't, well, you know the line. What am I about to say? Look, come on, guys, a little audience participation. What's the line? We don't...
He looks around and thrusts the intercom in the face, terrified man in the front row. You don't want your money?
Thank you! 400 points for this, Larry. All right, look, we don't want your money, but I'm not threatening your lives, so understand if you hold a dim view of me after this.
Carter notices his friends are almost finished at the back.
Okay, that's all the time I'll be asking of you today. Make sure you challenge all the charges on your cards when you land in, well, wherever you are, when the flight attendants eventually manage to get the radio into the cockpit to work.
Everyone stares at him as he heads down the aisle toward the back. He catches up to Hannah.
I didn't ham it up too much, did I?
No.
She reaches the seat of the nervous kid who holds out a credit card to her. Carter smiles.
I've got this one.
Hannah continues to the back. Carter takes the card from the kid and examines it.
Your parents gave you a credit card?
Yeah, I'm only supposed to use it for emergencies, though.
Go buy yourself some video games and porn. It's an emergency.
He heads to the rear of the plane where the rest of the crew is climbing down into the cargo hold through a floor hatch. Interior airliner cargo hold moments later. Carter drops down into the hold. Titus fiddles with a panel next to the cargo door, pulling on wires. Everyone else is putting on identical backpacks. Richard hands one to Carter.
Took me an hour down here to find those. Their ordering system is straight bonkers.
What did you expect? It's a budget Eastern European airline. Right? How's the wiring coming?
Titus steps back, looking at the panel.
It should work.
Should?
My dad's the electrician, and the manual's in Russian, so yeah, should is about as good as it gets.
He hands him a black box with a red button. Carter turns to the rest of the gang.
Ready?
Richard raises his hand.
Richard, you don't have to raise your hand.
Is it too late to use the restroom?
That entirely depends on whether you're wanting to keep those pants. Any other questions?
Are you sure this isn't going to hurt anyone?
I didn't act... Fine, yes, all right? We chose this type of plane for a reason. The most they'll feel up there is a little turbulence.
How do you know, though?
I read about it. It's in the library book.
You read about it?
Most of a plan works most of the time.
Most... Why didn't you just tell me a month ago and I could have planned it? Either way, it's zero work for you.
There were extenuating circumstances, all right? Get set, everyone.
They all grab tightly to whatever is closest to them, except Hannah, who is fuming.
Extenuating circumstances?
Yes, like the fact that when you plan stuff, it's always boring.
Carter!
Look, you might want to hold on to something.
He holds up the box and she quickly grabs onto the netting of the luggage hold. Carter presses the red button. Whoosh! Air rushes out of the hold as the cargo door opens itself hydraulically. It jerks everyone toward the door for a moment until the hold fully depressurizes. Carter walks to the door and looks out at the ground far below. He turns back to the other four, shrugs, and suddenly leaps backwards out of the plane. Everyone else hesitates for a moment, and then they all jump into the roaring sky after him. Exterior sky moments later. The four criminal skydivers free fall toward the earth. After plummeting a few thousand feet, they deploy their parachutes. Carter looks around at his floating comrades nearby. He nods his head happily. This is way too much fun.
Son of a bitch, it worked.
A thunderous sound from behind him cuts him off mid-sentence. He whips his head around just in time to see a massive black jet roaring over them, not 10 feet above their parachutes. The back of the plane is open, and standing on the rear door are 5 men in black suits, shouldering what appear to be rocket launchers.
What the fuck?
The men fire their weapons, shooting 4 harpoons trailing cables at the group. They each snag a parachute.
Carter!
Before she can finish, they're all yanked forward as the jet tows them in its wake. The distance between them and the jet begins to shorten. They're being pulled in. Interior black jet, moments later. The black-suited harpooners pull the group into the belly of the plane by their parachutes. Carter stands, furiously throwing the entangled lines off of him.
What the... Why? Who are you?
Our boss would like a word. Carter shakes his head as he takes off his parachute.
Yeah, I bet he would.
Interior black jet office moments later. The stained walnut door opens and Carter is shown in. He surveys a room that seems too large to be inside a plane and looks like a corporate penthouse office. No, really. Beyond the wood and glass fixtures, each wall is a screen, together picturing a perfect panoramic view of a downtown cityscape. But for the distant hum of the engines, you'd never know the difference.
Nice view.
It was a little more per square foot than some spaces we looked at.
Carter turns to see the source of the voice. Leo Cromwell, 65, emerged from another door behind him. His gray hippie ponytail oddly doesn't clash with his Savile Row tailoring.
But I find it suits my needs best.
Leo gestures to one of the plush seats in the front of the desk. Carter sits down as Leo eases into his palatial office chair.
You're probably wondering why I brought you here.
Carter can't stop looking at the view.
I'm sorry, these walls are super distracting.
Oh. My apologies, Mr. Benbrook.
Leo presses a button and the walls immediately transform from city view to wood panels, complete with fake paintings.
Thanks. And yeah, that was one of my few questions. Along with, why do you know my name?
Leo reaches into his desk, pulls out a folder, and opens it.
I do my research, Mr. Benbrook. Top of your class at MIT, youngest Army intelligence officer to ever make captain. Bronze Star, specialized training in hand-to-hand combat, demolitions, languages, cybersecurity, and the many beautiful secrets of the Kama Sutra.
I see you found my dating profile.
Leo holds up the paper he's reading from, showing that it is indeed a printout of an online dating site.
Do any of these women fall for this preposterousness?
You'd be surprised.
Leo shakes his head, setting the page aside.
Mr. Benbrook, I have to admit, the most impressive thing about you seems to be that there is actually nothing impressive about you.
Hey, all right. I made it through Cub Scouts. Not through. I found out after a year of Weebelos that there was a whole second year of Weebelos, which I thought was fucking horseshit. So, especially since I didn't know what a Weebelos was, I quit.
Weeby Loyal Scouts.
Huh?
Weebelos. It's an acronym.
It's just dumb.
Mr. Benbrook.
You're gonna have to start calling me Carter at some point. Feel free to share your name whatever such time feels right to you.
My name is Leo. You seem to be meeting your current circumstances in good humor, Carter.
It's a defense mechanism.
Just so. Well, you can imagine my surprise, given your background, that you've managed to accomplish what you have in the last few years. Although the monetary returns from your escapades seem to be vastly lower than the risks you've been taking.
I'm more lucky than smart. It's just kind of my thing.
You know, I was very much hoping you would say that. I have a proposal for you.
Okay, but what's with the theatrics? Why snatch us out of the sky like some crazy techno hawk when you just want to have a chat about a job?
Why skyjack a plane and then jump from it for a couple hundred credit card numbers you could buy on the dark web for $10 a piece?
I'm listening.
Interior Black Jet Lounge evening. Hannah, Richard, and Titus sit on couches, staring forward, all looking confused.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't understand what you don't understand, right? Fly on jet to city, do job for Leo, get $1 million, fly on jet to wherever the fuck ever.
But he won't say what city.
He can't reveal where the job takes place to someone who hasn't agreed to the job.
And he won't say what the job is?
Similar reasoning.
That's really dumb.
What do you people want?
Job security.
Then go work for the government. Sorry, Titus. Didn't mean it. Look, if anyone wants out, we're flying over Cairo soon, and Leo said we can drop you off on our way to wherever we're going.
They all look around.
Awesome. Love you guys. Come on, there's pizza in the kitchen.
Interior Black Jet Lounge night. Carter walks into the lounge holding 2 whiskeys. He looks around and spots Hannah sitting in a corner, reading. He walks up, sets one glass next to her, and sits down.
Still mad at me?
I'm always mad at you.
She's trying to look tough, but it's obvious she adores him.
No, Dad was always mad at me.
Dad was fine. You deserved it.
Probably.
Carter takes a sip of whiskey, looking out the window.
So what's your plan? I mean, I know you don't have one, but why are we doing this?
I don't know. Instinct?
About what?
That maybe when an eccentric billionaire scoops you into his jet castle and says he wants you to do something, nodding and going along seems pretty prudent.
Prudent. I didn't know you remembered the word.
Not as reckless as you think.
You are these days.
I want to see where this one goes. I mean, come on, you're not at all curious?
Of course I'm curious. I'm curious about sharks too, but I watch Discovery Channel. I don't go swimming with them.
Man, you just finished participating in Old West train robbery in the sky. Right, give yourself some credit. You're more reckless than you think.
He grins at her and she playfully kicks him, a dance they've been doing since they were kids. Interior Black Jet Lounge, dawn. Hannah awakens, slumped in the same chair as the night before. She sees the early light coming through the window and goes to look out. She frowns.
Carter?
His head pops up from below the coffee table.
Yes?
Carter stands up and goes to the window, looks out. They're flying low over a dense, fog-laden jungle. In the distance, a hint of a city skyline flanked by mountains.
Amazon, maybe?
Titus and Richard walk in.
You guys know where we are?
They peer out the window and both shake their heads. Carter looks closely at the window itself, scratches it with his fingernail and taps on it.
Nope, that's a window, all right.
Interior hangar, morning. The gang steps off the plane, taking in their surroundings. Placed around the hangar are 2 small jets and 3 helicopters, all attended by a few dozen men in black suits. Carter walks to where Leo is waiting.
So we get to find out where we're going now that we're, here?
Certainly. Follow me.
Leo heads towards the large bay doors. Carter and company follow. Exterior hangar continuous. Leo steps into the bright sun, looks out and smiles. The group stops, looking around in awe. The hangar and airstrip are on a narrow cliff jutting out from a larger mountain, dropping off hundreds of feet on 3 sides down towards the city below. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Modern skyscrapers Modern skyscrapers rise up next to ancient temples and strongholds, as if someone decided it was time to gentrify Camelot. The layout of the city feels both haphazard and intentional, like it was designed by a Japanese architect from the 80s obsessed with Art Deco and cocaine.
Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Avalon.
Avalon?
Yes.
I don't... What's Avalon?
This is the city of Avalon.
You mean like the mythical land from Arthurian legend?
Yes.
Yes? What do you mean, yes? Titus was being droll. He does that. He's very droll. Seriously, where are we?
I could explain it to you, but wouldn't you rather see it?
He gestures behind them, and they turn. A large zeppelin floats up and extends a walkway to the befuddled group. Interior zeppelin moments later. The group boards the luxuriously appointed bridge. The pilot turns the wheel, gliding the airship into the open sky.
Did you really just call it Zeppelin so you could avoid our questions?
On the contrary, ask me whatever you wish.
Okay. What city is this?
I told you.
Yes, Avalon. That city down there looks like it was, what, 10 million people?
12, actually.
There is no city on planet fucking Earth named Avalon with a population bigger than one I grew up in, and we didn't get a Walmart until I was in high school.
Carter turns to the rest of the group.
Right? I mean, I did okay in geography. Titus?
No, there's not.
And yet here we are.
Okay, then what country are we in?
Avalon is its own sovereign entity.
Continent?
It's complicated.
Continents aren't complicated. There are only 7 of them.
The zeppelin drops altitude and the city skyline approaches.
Fine, I'll bite. All right, since the really dumb question seems to be the one you want to ask me, or want me to ask, is this the Avalon from, what, mythology?
Yes.
Like Atlantis.
You know, I didn't mind that movie.
Everyone shoots their to the look.
From an outsider's perspective, and in its diplomatic status with the rest of the world, yes, Atlantis is an apt comparison. Outside of the fact that Atlantis does not actually exist.
Neither does Avalon.
And yet here we are.
Stop saying that.
Jinx, you owe me Coke. You have Coke, right?
We do.
How? I mean, wouldn't that mean Coca-Cola would know about your secret legendary city? I mean, shit, how do you get anything for that matter? Do you make your own iPhones here? Or?
Avalon long ago developed many methods of bringing goods from the outside world without arousing suspicion.
How?
Are the logistics of large-scale smuggling really at the top of your list of questions?
Well, normally, yes. I mean, right now...
Carter looks out the window at the city. Exterior Cromwell Tower moments later. The airship cruises into the city and glides down toward a grandiose Belle Epoque building surrounded by gardens. This is Cromwell Tower, the center of Leo's empire. The Zeppelin docks at a landing platform in the garden, and the gang exits, looking up at the complex next to the park. Leo walks down and joins them.
I'm afraid this is where our paths diverge for now. I have some business to attend to here. The captain will take you back to the aircliff.
Wait, what about the job?
I shall fill you in on all the details tonight.
You want us to just sit around doing nothing until tonight?
Unless you'd prefer to explore.
Explore a city that's not supposed to exist?
And yet, here we are.
Titus gives Richard a one-handed shove, sending him flying.
Any good tourist spots?
Well, the shipyards might be of interest to someone looking to get a sense of how Avalon works.
Oh, of course, the famous Avalonian shipyards.
Everyone stands quietly, not sure what's next.
Okay, let's go.
He starts walking off.
Mr. Benbrook.
Leo points in the opposite direction of where Carter's walking.
That way. Got it. Yep.
Leo walks toward the monolithic building. 2 guards open the massive glass doors for him, and he disappears inside.
So, shipyards?
And it looks like she's about to give Carter his billionth lecture, but changes her mind.
Fine.
Really?
Yeah. What, do you want me to keep being the annoying voice of reason?
Ha! I knew Dad picked a good one.
Still not adopted.
You can't prove that.
Carter heads toward the road at the edge of the complex.
There are literally dozens of ways you could prove that.
He keeps walking. Hannah rolls her eyes, and the other 3 follow. Carter reaches the street and looks both ways. Despite the buildings nearby, it's a pretty desolate area.
So, I'd say we could borrow a car, but I don't know how efficient police are in mythological cities. And, well, I don't see any cars. Any ideas?
Hannah and Titus shrug.
Nobody? Richard?
Richard's nose deep in his phone.
Huh?
Never mind.
A black SUV approaches and stops in front of them.
Oh, good. Leo called the car.
The window rolls down and the driver looks out at the crew.
One of you, Richard?
Carter turns to Richard, who holds up his phone.
Ordered an Uber.
Why would you just assume that Uber operates here?
I mean,
He gestures. Evidence of his argument.
This is why I invited you, Richard.
I thought you invited me because no one else wanted to be in your gang.
Semantics.
Carter hops gleefully into the SUV.
Shipyards, my good man.
If you say so.
The driver turns on the stereo just in time to catch the opening bars of a Jay-Z track you'll eventually refuse to pay the licensing fee for, leading us into a montage. The SUV winds through cobblestone streets, and we begin to get a sense of the area as they pass by some curious sights. Massive building complexes, all containing one large castle/skyscraper/skyscraper castle, surrounded by smaller buildings, walls, machine gun turrets, and armed guards. An open-air market where shifty-looking patrons shop at stalls containing anything shifty-looking person would want. Street food, clothes, drugs, cars, prostitutes of every color and gender. Oh, and guns. Lots and lots of guns. One thing stands out, unifying all of the surroundings. The wild is ever present. Despite the modernization, flora and fauna sprout all over the place. Monkeys swing from trees overhanging the street. Snakes lounge on top of luxury cars, sunning themselves. It is a literal urban jungle. End montage. Interior SUV later. The group rides in silence, taking in the astounding view outside. Carter, sitting up front, turns to the driver.
So, you like it here?
Well enough, I guess.
Carter spots a sawed-off shotgun holstered on the console.
Dangerous place?
Driver looks at him as if he's asked if Philadelphia was a pleasant sports city full of reasonable people.
You could say that.
Interior training room day. A figure in a purple robe leaps around, wielding a staff. Multiple acolytes in white robes do their best to fend off the attacks, all ending up on their ass for their trouble. The figure in purple stops and turns. It's a woman, or to be more accurate, the warrior priestess Sabine, 45, otherwise known as the Diva. She certainly has the attitude for it.
Next.
A door slides upward and two white tigers slink into the room. The acolytes limp and crawl off to the side in a hurry. The tigers rush her. She casually slides to the side, dodging the first cat. The other vaults, jumping off the wall down toward her. She blocks its claws and flips it onto its back. The stunned cats get up and slowly advance. As they're about to pounce again, another door opens. Sabine raises her hand and the tigers dutifully stop. In walks Khalik, her gray-robed deputy with a bad case of male resting bitch face.
What?
Leo is back in the city. You said you wanted to.
I know. Where is he?
I'm still working on that.
No matter. He'll be in attendance tonight, I'm sure.
That's not all. He brought guests.
Is that so?
She walks over to the tigers, stroking both of them as she thinks. The two giant predators react as if they were kittens.
Well, this evening should be an interesting welcome party for them.
He bows and leaves. She heads for the door, followed by her trained endangered war cats, or whatever the hell they are. Interior SUV day. Carter looks outside at the massive industrial buildings crowding a busy harbor as the SUV comes to a stop.
Any interesting places around here?
What kind of interesting?
Like the kind of place a driver such as yourself would warn a tourist not to go to.
Bar around the corner. Sailors, shipworkers, degenerates, but...
Say no more. Already love it.
Exterior shipyard bar, moments later. Carter looks up at a dingy metal building squatting between two giant warehouses, sporting a flickering neon bar sign.
This is not as promising as I hoped.
Titus turns to walk back to the road.
I'm going to find a hotel.
No.
He grabs Titus, pulling him back.
This is what we're here for.
We know what we're here for?
Richard, just...
Carter turns to Hannah, who's no help whatsoever.
Come on.
Carter opens the creaky metal door and disappears inside. Interior shipyard bar continues. They walk into the large bar area, mouths agape. This is not what they were expecting. Despite the grungy and seemingly tiny exterior, the bar itself actually spans into the two warehouses adjoining it. It's huge. The place is decorated like a futuristic opium den. Hundreds of men and women sit, stand, dance, drink, and debauch to the rock stylings of what sounds suspiciously like a lost Van Halen album. Carter in particular is blown away.
Hannah, remember that bar I always talked about opening?
I try not to.
Yeah, well, you can forget about it. Somebody beat me to it.
Pool tables, a dance floor, multiple gambling areas, a platform for strippers, bare-knuckle boxing, a greyhound racing track that circles the club, and a litany of drugs being consumed in plain sight. A veritable adult playground.
Come on.
He skips down the steps into the club, followed by the other three, who are much more apprehensive for some reason.
Carter?
What?
Are you seeing this?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Look closer.
We now notice that every single person in the bar has a gun. Hip holsters, shoulder holsters, thigh holsters for the ladies. It's an Old West saloon with louder music.
Just act casual. I mean, if everyone has a gun, no one has a gun, right?
Makes sense to me.
Richard walks past them to the bar.
Not helping. Look, we can spend the entire day being weirded out by the fact that we're in a legendary city that's not supposed to exist and act like babies every time something crazy like, oh, everybody has guns happens. Or we can accept that or we can accept that crazy is the new baseline and go play poker like adults, all right? Now who's with me?
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch the two shirtless men pound on each other.
She nods in the direction of the bare-knuckle brawlers, surrounded by a throng of shouting audience members.
Hey, you do you, all right? Titus.
I just need to sit down for an extended period of time.
Hannah heads off towards the fights. Titus makes for a grouping of comfortable-looking chairs in front of a stage. Carter looks around at the absurdity, laughing to himself.
What the fuck?
Interior shipyard bar poker table moments later. Carter waltzes into the gambling area and approaches a poker table full of players of varying degrees of suspiciousness.
Mind if I sit?
The dealer looks over at a large African gentleman, Maximud, 45, who wears his vest and crisply tailored shirt like a military uniform. He nods. The dealer motions for him to sit. Carter fishes a few $100 bills from his wallet and slides them over. The dealer looks at him like he's an idiot.
Stakes are a little higher than that, pal.
Shit, that's all I got. Don't suppose you take credit cards.
How much you want?
Oh, word? Max me out then.
Carter hands his credit card over and the dealer slides it.
This card has a $10,000 limit.
So?
So the big blind is $50,000.
Carter stands to leave.
I did not realize I'd rolled up on the deep pockets table. I'll just,
He smiles and tosses one of the blue bags from the heist to the dealer, who pulls out a couple dozen credit cards.
These are stolen.
No, they just...
That wasn't a question. When?
Yesterday.
30% convenience charge.
What? You had... Okay. Run them all, boss man.
Interior shipyard bar poker table moments later. A large stack of chips is pushed to an excited Carter.
New player sets the bet.
Pre-deal? You guys play dangerous.
Carter pushes in a fat stack of chips, easily worth $100,000.
Bet's in.
Everyone else bets. Carter smiles as the dealer flips each person their cards, but it quickly fades as he looks at them. He has 3 cards, one bearing a knight on a horse, another a mountain, the third a ball of fire. Whatever this game is, it sure as hell isn't poker.
Uh-oh.
Something wrong?
Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Hard to say at this point.
Maximud smiles and looks at his own cards. Can't see.
Good job, Noel. After you. You want to go first?
Sure. It's a lot of fun. It's obviously it's super creative, very unique. Great visuals at the beginning. I mean, you have me from Lord of the Rings with automatic weapons. really, really fun. And you said it's TV pilot.
Yes.
So it's pilot. It did feel. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, give the annoying thing. Maybe other people say it too. I mean, it did feel like about 20 minutes in, like this is the feature version of it. It's a little more 2D. Like it kept sort of descending layers down. To me, the thing is, I found myself. You have the opening, great visuals, great opening sequence, the incongruous details of it. But I felt like by the time you got to like all the way through the jet plane, it's sort of fun because then it's the juncture of the two worlds together, right? It's like, okay, this is a big. Obviously, we're coming back to this at some point. Once they get to Avalon, and there are like the Zeppelins and the monkeys, and there was like a reference to like a Japanese designer Dixie coat. I found myself not really being able to wrap my head around, because the world you gave me in the beginning just felt like, you know, Lord of the Rings, or like, you know, medieval with automatic weapons. Now it's like all these other elements too. I found myself kind of craving some unifying principles to like to understand the world a little bit more as I come in. Now you may have like a mythology reason for why all these different time periods exist and all these different elements exist, but I found myself sort of ping-ponging between it, and I imagine, you know, watching it as a show is going to be super entertaining, for sure. In reading it, I feel like page by page I might start to get a little bit more and more lost in what is this world that I'm looking for, you know. And so that was my first thing. But again, like the action stuff is really fun. I just found myself looking for something to hold on to a little bit more as we go forward. And then I also think too, in terms of TV, like I think, I mean, the one saving grace and the one thing that could pull you through that are your characters, your core team, you know, your A team of, you know, Carter and those guys. And so in that sense, I feel like what I would want more of a sense of who these people are, to see them a little more. You have great banter, great dialogue back and forth between them during the plane heist. But once they're on Leo's jet in the lounge, I feel like I would want a little like more time to know who these other people are. Like the most I know about, you know, one character is there, you know, one guy's droll, another guy is a little slow in the uptake, but a little bit more
a genius, depending on.
Or a genius, yes, absolutely. So I feel like because in TV, and I mean I've sort of learned this lesson myself too. It's like and when I started to think about it after the fact, it's like, why do you tune into those, you know, shows over and over again? Like some of my favorite shows, like ER, I didn't tune in for the patients or like the case study. I tuned in because I wanted to see what happened. You know, like with Dr. Ross, you know, like that. And same thing with like Friday Night Lights. Like I did care about who won the games. Yeah. but I'm also just like, what's going to happen with Coach this week? And you know, those kind of things too.
You want to hang out with your friends.
You want to hang out with your friends, exactly. And you've got like, and they've, you know, fun relationships, and I feel like, you know, like a lot of fun dialogue and stuff too. But I feel like if I knew more about them and before they get there. And then the other thing for me too, I think is the question of why he takes the job to begin. Because right now he's kind of says to her like, look, it's, you know, this guy's got you on a jet, and he first thing it's like, you don't want to say no to that, right? You feel like you shouldn't say no. But so I feel like there may be a harder sell to him, to Leo's, like something along those lines. Like he's a guy who tried to pull off a train heist in the air for a few hundred credit cards. You know, not going to lend him all that much money, and that's great that he calls him on it. But the idea of like really selling him on like, look, you're a guy who clearly needs an adrenaline rush, and I'm going to give you the most amazing win you've ever seen. You know, like if you say yes to this, you're going to see something that's going to blow your fucking mind. And for him to not be able to say no to that, you know, I sort of wanted just like a deeper psychological pull, rather than like, it sounds like a kick, you know. So that's mostly what I had. Yeah, but like I said, it's a lot of fun. I feel like obviously as you get more into the world, you probably have answers to why all those things coexist in the same thing. But again, sort of like in reading it, I just found myself like wanting to have something to hold on to that made the world like I could at least see the edges of the world of Avalon.
That's like Marty McFly. No one calls me chicken.
Right, exactly.
From Back to the Future, anybody older than younger than? Yeah, I mean, Randall has submitted the script a few times, and we've made him a finalist, and I hoped he would listen to my notes and rewrite. But now I get to say them in public. Firstly, I actually never realized until today that it was a TV pilot, because it reads feature from page 1. I mean, you build the stakes by page 30, and then, you know, my comments about that is that by page 30 we should know what the job is, we should know more, you know, it should be there. But obviously I have to throw all that out the window because it's TV. I'm an idiot. So but TV, you're half an hour into what is only going to be at most a 1 hour show, and TV pilots, as this guy will tell you, are horrifying balancing acts in terms of introducing character, introducing series arcs, but then also giving us something within the pilot that is resolved so that we can feel at least we've had a satisfying experience as we've met these people. So there's a lot of different things going on. Very few of those are at work currently in this, the first 30 pages. Yes, you've introduced a world that is amazing. You have some characters that, as Mickey said, are kind of there but not quite there. And then, even if we give you the whole plane ride and the whole getting to the city, one point, it's driven me crazy the first time I read this script. The idea that a jet is flying over them while their parachutes are falling down. How the fuck does that happen? Because the jet's roaring past here, and wouldn't it be whoosh past them while they're dropping? Is the jet dropping at the same time?
You just dropped it into first.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit the brakes and they'll fly right by. Right.
It just logistically messes with my head, so I'm sorry. But then they get to Avalon, and then they're left. And it's like, you're in a TV show, and every single word in a TV show pilot is precious real estate, and you've got the very charming and debonair wit saying, see you later, go look after yourselves for a while. And it's like, no, you only have 40 to 45 pages to get this thing to the end of the episode, where we decide as viewers whether we want to watch this thing next week, whether we care about the characters, whether we know what the show is going to be about. Is this all going to take place on Avalon, or are they going to do wacky adventures every week? Are they the A-team? What is going on? You're too far into the script right now with too many unanswered questions.
Gotcha.
And you have too much talent with dialogue and character to leave so much on the table at this point. So my suggestions are, you can shred the aeroplane scene to be much quicker. You can have the scene on the jet to be much quicker. And once you figure out the logistics of the jet, because that fucking drives me crazy. And then once they get to Avalon, they're right into it. They're right into it. And also, again, this is my small pet peeve, is that the only few things we know about Carter and his sister is that they seem a bit crazy, but they seem okay. Mm-hmm. And yet then you've got Carter really wanting to go into the drug den with the hookers and the gambling and all that. We've seen no sense of him being that sort of a criminal. We've seen him being like a surfer dude kind of cash criminal who's like, this is a bit of fun. And so, but then you put him in this sort of out of character experience, which he seems to embrace. And I found that jarring. It's like, well, who is this guy? He seemed like a very pleasant A-team kind of guy. And then, but you're getting him getting his rocks off on this like worst of the worst type place. So you have this, I mean, you're a tremendously solid writer, and the dialogue is great, and the interplay and the imagination on Avalon. I want to know more.
There's a lot of big ideas, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's a real opportunity to set a really interesting show in a mythical place, which you've already set up. So my big note would just be to sort of truncate it and give us more, because you've only got 45 pages to reel us in. And right now you've thrown the bait out there, but we're not reeled in.
Can I jump in with another quick question?
Yeah.
In terms of like the actual, as the series goes, do you see it as one serialized story, or are these going to be like the sort of A-team adventures at Avalon episodic?
So this is kind of an interesting question, because the way, assuming that, the show gets greenlit and all of that, the way that I would love to see it play out is that the first season will be a little more episodic with some sort of serialized things happening in the background. There's sort of a larger question that gets dropped later in the episode that they're sort of trying to find the answers to. And then basically after the first season, that episodic framework completely falls away and it becomes completely serialized. Because I think Justified did that, not intentionally. Like it was sort of a course correct after season 1, but it got me thinking it would actually be really interesting if you engineered a series to purposely be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're trying to do the same thing right now. I mean, Doctor Who does that a bit too. If you watch Doctor Who, it's like there are all these sort of great, the adventure of the episode, and then there's, the big bad or things seeded throughout. So I think it can be done. But that was sort of one question, because if you're laying out to the end of this of like, by the end of the pilot, they're going to lay out the big job, and then is it 9 episodes or 12 episodes of like pulling off the great Avalon heist, or is it episode by episode, are they the A-team within it? I mean, either one of those is. Yeah,
but you see it all taking place in Avalon, right?
Yes.
They're not going to end up in some other mythical city next week, right? Because you run out of mythical cities.
Yeah.
Maybe
There's basically 2.
Right.
El Dorado, right?
Series, Fantasyland in Disneyland. Okay, so then I agree. It's like episodic's great, but then that's even more compelling to get into the heist. Yeah. If they're going to pull it off in this whole episode, holy cow, you've got some work to do.
Yeah, and it's like, and you've got to, I think by the end of the episode too, if there is sort of one heist in this pilot episode that gets you into the game and all this, you got to crank that engine up a lot earlier, and then also by the end, if it's a success and a lot of fun, sort of the stakes are laid out. Then you can lay the stakes out by the end of the pilot, which is okay. There's a lot more where that came from for Carter and T if they want it. Yeah, and then I think I would. If that's the game and I know that's what I'm in for, then I know what to tune in for. Yeah.
And you even have the crazy lady with the tigers who sort of lurks as the nemesis throughout. Who she can pop up periodically throughout the series, but so it's all there. All your pieces are there. You've just that's what it's fun. I want to know what you do, so I want to know what the hell's going on with Avalon. It's and those jets. They could have a special Avalonian jet. It could be like it does its own thing. It defies all of the physics that we currently know. Do you see how there's a theme here? Right? I'm going to go home and write a series now about a jet.
The jet. It's a show about a jet.
Yeah, it's a show about a jet. Just trust me. Okay. Do we have any feedback from the audience? Sean.
Yeah, good stuff. It's a lot of fun. Maybe too much fun. I just thought the like the plane heist, everything just felt very smooth. Like, I want to take your cards, and if there's cards, if there's some resistance there, I wouldn't mind seeing the 18 do what the 18 can do. Like, is this guy one guy who can punch, or just play it up? What's the worst I can happen?
No, I think you're totally right. There was initially, it was a much longer sequence that involved an undercover air marshal and like all of that kind of stuff. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm spending so much time on this plane, and we're not getting to Avalon.
It could be quick though.
But but I totally get what you're saying.
And then just the sense of like a little more meanness. I think like even the guy, the jet that takes him out, seemed pretty polite for a capture sequence. So I wouldn't mind, everyone, hey, let's fight this guy, and then they're all just knocked out, and here we are in Avalon. Like, just to get us a sense that there's some stakes here. This is because right now it's almost too light. It's a little too fun. You can have fun, but we still want someone to get like, ooh, I don't want to. There's some shit going on here.
Totally.
And stuff to get pretty heavy. But yeah, good stuff. There's a lot of fun. Good writing.
Thanks.
Sean, by the way, is a writer on Silicon Valley right now, so thank you, Sean, for coming.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay, Sean. Cuba.
I thought you literally have this ability to make someone want to turn the page to keep reading. So you really have to own that and honor that fact that you're a writer, because it was amazing.
Thank you.
What I really want you to kind of look at is all of us on the side thought it was a feature. We really did connect to the feature side of it, so I was blown away that it's a pilot. And what I think is it sounds like a draft that had a lot of mythology and a lot of ideas, very expensive TV. You want to look at the structure of your favorite TV show that you want to model this against, because I think you really need to look at the structure of the story. Within the first page, you know what type of show this is. By the end of Act 1, we know what the dilemma is. By the mid-act, we have this harrowing moment, and then by the end of the story, we're really setting off the series as it is. And because of the type of world you're building, you really want to kind of focus it, because it's so beautiful and so massive that you can't lose a reader, and you want to make sure by page 1 they know where they are. And I felt like it was two different stories: the heist and the airplanes and a spy film, and this beautiful fantasy sequence that I want to be all about. So you can pick the story. So, but really awesome job.
Thank you.
Yes, Lady in the Glasses.
I think with as charming as Carter is and everything, there's always hints of some dark secret that every leading person has, that when it usually gets revealed like much later in the series, but then you go back to the pilot and there's hints to it. So there's always some way you can explore that. And when he says he can be as charming and wonderful as possible, but you gotta have like some meat behind him that shows just a little bit of it, because then for the arc of the whole series, that'll come out, and that just makes it so much more juicier for that character.
Definitely.
Whit.
First of all, this is a brilliantly vivid world, and I want to see more of this world, so that's great up front. I mean, my urge right now is to tune in to find out more about Avalon. It's really cool. Quick nerd note, your jet.
Yay! There we go. I don't care what it is. It's an awesome note. Yay!
You've got so much hybrid technology, I wouldn't worry about it. Make it a hovercraft that becomes a jet. So we can hover there and pick them up and then move the hovercraft.
Yep.
You got the hybrid technology, just adventurous at the end of the day. And then the deeper note is that, again, I'm with these guys. I don't really know anything about these four characters, and I want to. I mean, they're clever and they're funny, and I want to know more about them. And I think that your entree to them might be Leo. And that maybe Leo doesn't just talk to the lead guy. Maybe he talks to all of them. And maybe he knows something about each of them that we get to discover. And he knows what each of them want. You know, what each of them really wants. And he seduces them each individually. And that gives you an opportunity to tell us more about those characters and for us to care about the characters more. It's just a thought.
Can I jump in? Yeah. Could you ever say to piggyback on that? The other thing I think that does, that would help you a lot too, is buys you the mystery of what does he know about them, the question, like the further question about the characters. I mean, that is sort of laying the pipelines going forward. If he knows a secret about them, something about them, why they would need this job, why they would take this job, and doesn't lay it out, but that he knows something about it. I feel like that sort of mystery pays forward in a lot of ways, because the audience goes, oh, okay, I'm gonna know more about this person now.
Makes Leo even cooler.
Yeah. What a surprise, it's coming from you. Yeah. So you're saying, so it could even be like a secret that the other members of the team don't know, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So he knows more, right. And he just says, so you don't want anybody to know about California or something? And the one guy goes, I'm in. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And we just wants it because he likes reading that role, so he likes reading it.
More scenes for me.
Yes. Yes.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. I feel like because it's set in a fantasy world, the beginning should be ultra realistic. So the whole jet heist, the physics of it doesn't work for me. You know, there's no oxygen. They're jumping out of a cruising altitude. You can't open airplane doors on the outside because they're pressurized. You can't jump out of a plane. You've got to park by G-force. You need oxygen. You know, the physics of the whole heist, I think, needs to be looked at, because if you're going to move into a fantasy world, I think the beginning of their world needs to be grounded in an ultimate reality. Is that the listening to it all?
Yep. Always good. Yes. So.
Yeah, and we all are saying how much we like this world of Avalon. So I think really once you get there, like everything they do and every place they go should be like infused with this sense of Avalon, like just Avalonized or whatever. Like because they go to this bar and it could almost kind of be like any bar. Like everyone's carrying a gun, which is like a different thing. And then
it's like Texas.
Yeah. And then it's the reveal of like that the card game is different. But like I feel like as soon as they walk in, you need to be like, okay, this is a place that could only exist in Avalon, and then sort of goes along with what everyone's been saying, the rules of the world and the jets and stuff. It's like as soon as they walk in, it's like it could automatically be like, oh, can I have a drink? And I'm like whatever. It's like comes up from the bottom of the counter. Like just it should all sort of be stuff that can only exist in that world that we haven't seen before. Just to just so it's like, okay, we know why this show is happening in Avalon. It's not just a bar anywhere.
Totally. And I'm actually from Texas, so I'm just writing from life experience.
Of course. Texas, the Avalon of the United States.
Yeah,
But actually, you could go the other direction too. That popped into my head. There's no medieval notion in. It's only been 25 years since they were broadswording and assault weaponing each other. It would be kind of fun if that bar had medieval touches, not just modern. We've all gone modern and technology we haven't seen, but you're building a city that is very much a part of the medieval past. So that gives you. That bar should have, like, I don't even know. I don't want to, but it should be medieval. It seems like. It feels like that, because isn't that what Avalon is? It's sort of this mix.
Yes.
And it's only been 25 years, and we all know that nothing happens in 25 years. We look the same than we did 25 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else? Sir?
I was tagging on to like you said, the Avalon being medieval and completely modern at the exact same time. I think it would help clarify it and make it more hype and just have it, like with the bar and everything else, literally just be a mix of medieval stuff and completely modern things, sort of like skip the thousands of years in between.
Right.
And have like those two completely opposite things just mixed together, and knights with cell phones.
Yeah, they're at a modern bar drinking old tankards, kind of.
The two extremes mixed together.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave that. Thank you, everyone. Randall, do you have any? Sorry, if you can talk to Randall afterwards.
Okay.
Sorry. We want to talk to Mickey, and we've only got 20 minutes. Do you have anything, any questions or anything that you want to ask or get comments on? Or?
I don't think I have any questions. I just want to say thanks, especially to the actors. Y'all did a great job. It was awesome just getting to see it on its feet. And
what did you take from the reading?
It was interesting seeing where the laughs came, and more importantly, where they didn't come. There's stuff that you think is like a throwaway line, and it gets like a good chuckle out of the audience, and then you're like, all right, here comes this one, and then.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
So very illuminating.
Yeah, and then what's worse is that you now have to go back and remove that line, even though you really don't want to.
Oh, I'm not taking it out. I love it.
Some of them are going to be for you.
Next time, it's going to go over great.
Yeah, next time. It's these idiots. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Blame the actors.
Yeah, blame the actors. Yeah, blame them all. Okay, well then if you don't have anything else, then we'll just say thank you to Randall. Right. Hello. So thank you for coming. Are you having fun?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a great way to spend my birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It was fun. It was awesome. Actors, fantastic job, and writers, excellent.
So, just for people who don't know you, tell your story. How you got in?
So I actually, I'll just start back. I was born in Ironton, Ohio, which is my birth. 44 years ago on this day. Maybe like about 2 hours from now. I grew up doing theater, and I actually went to school to be Conservatory Music in Cincinnati for musical theater to be an actor, and that's what I thought I really wanted to do. But while I was there, a couple things happened, which was like my teacher said, "Look, you're a character guy. You're not really going to work till you're in your 40s." Which I am in now. Maybe it's the time.
Yeah,
right. I hit it. Yeah, 4 years ago. I'm halfway through. But they said you're not really going to work till you're in your 40s. And the other thing that happened is I started really being more interested in the writing. Like even my freshman year, I started going to this art house theater called the Esquire Theater in this little area called Ludlow, and it's a time when there was a ton of independent film coming out. And Kevin Smith and Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez and Allison Anders, all these people were putting out these indie. And so all of a sudden I was going to see these movies where the people were making for thousands of dollars. Like the case of Robert Rodriguez, who was funding it from medical testing and things like that too. And so I started writing things for myself to perform because I thought I don't want to wait till I'm in my 40s. I'm going to create my own opportunities. I want to write the characters that I really want to play. And I started writing other things for people, audition monologues, et cetera, et cetera. And by the time I left school, I really wanted to be a writer more than I wanted to be an actor. And my girlfriend is here with me tonight. I met her. We were doing Summer Stock, Little Shop of Horrors, a little theater. I was the voice of the plant. She was Audrey. And at that time, she would she tells the story now. I was always in the corner writing. My head was always sort of in the page, and I had much more discipline to do that than I do now. So, fast forward 20 years. So I spent 20 years writing features, making my own independent features, writing plays. Putting up my own work, producing my own things. I never wanted to wait for somebody to give me an opportunity. I started writing, and then I thought, well, if no one else is going to produce myself, I'll produce it myself. I'll direct it. I'll grab all my friends. I'll be in it. I'll edit it. I'll pay for it. I'll go on the road and sell merchandise on her tour of Annie for a year and sell T-shirts to pay my movie off, things like that. So I spent 20 years doing that. We lived in New York, and about 6 years ago, we had this conversation. I was like, look, I'm not really meeting people who are doing the thing, who are working at the level I want to work at, who are doing the kind of thing that I want to do. I think I have to be in Los Angeles. There's so much more happening, and the days of selling a big spec script, feature script are maybe over, but there are all these writers' rooms, and they need tons of writers. And Julia at the time said, well, I'll go back to grad school, and so let's do it. And so we moved out to Orange County. I didn't really know anybody in the business. And so I did look up TJ and the Coronet Writers Lab, which is how I met Tim and met some of these other guys. I started driving up one day a week for a few months and doing the same thing that you guys did tonight, working with actors and continually rewriting. It was a really good time and friendships that continue to this day. And then I entered this. I didn't know anybody, so I started entering contests. I was putting stuff up on the blacklist. I was the Nickel Fellowship, you name it. I was just submitting to all kinds of contests. And then one of the contests, I wrote this pilot script. The other thing is, I'm sorry, this is a long-winded answer.
I got another question.
I know, sorry. So I leave time for questions. I didn't know how to write television. I knew how to write features. I knew how to write plays, full-length plays. But I realized when I moved out here, like that job that I wanted, I didn't really know how to do. So I spent months just like with a remote in one hand and a notebook in the other, and just watching my favorite episodes of my favorite shows: Doctor Who, Friday Night Lights, Breaking Bad, Lost, and I would watch them and just like break them down almost like like a blueprint. Okay, this show has a teaser and 5 acts, and each one of those is about this long, and each one of them has about this many scenes, and started really on the structure over the course of a number of months, 5 or 6 months. And then I wrote one pilot that was kind of like and I actually read it in the lab once. It was called Hopewell, and it was kind of like a grown-up Stephen King thing. And that was the first one. It was okay. It was pretty good. But then I wrote this one called Extant. I entered into a contest. I wrote it, and there was like this whole virgin birth in space. Then the movie Prometheus came out, and I thought, well, that's it. It's done. There was like a virgin birth in space. It'll be a good writing sample. Nothing will ever happen with it. But I knew it was the best thing I'd written. And then that next March came around. I entered in this contest, the Tracking TV Pilot contest. And a couple weeks later, I got a call from this guy saying, like, you didn't win. You're one of our finalists, but we're going to try to get this in the hands of some people who can help you, agents, managers. You might start getting some calls, and so I did. I started the next couple days, started getting some calls. On Saturday, I got the call from this guy named Brooklyn Weaver, who is my manager now, and he was like, "Look, he's like, I'm only like halfway through this thing, but it's great. I think I could change your life with this. If you want to sign with me, I know a few people we can slip this to." He's like, "The business is what it is, so there are no guarantees."
You said no, right?
Yeah, I said no. Yeah. I said, "Look, man, I got a good thing going in Orange County here. I
can sit around and watch TV all day.
Exactly, I'm watching everything else. Yeah. That's like good. I'm only on season 4 of Lost, man.
Right.
I can't do it. That night he started sitting around, and like the next thing that happened was my script just found its way, all in all these inboxes around town, and it was sort of validated this thing I always believed, which is if you had the right thing at the right time. I wrote this like grounded sci-fi thing. It had a female lead, and it was the thing that a lot of people were looking for in the moment. And all of a sudden I had I was all these calls, meetings, and flash forward 2 weeks later, I signed with WME, and then the next day they said like, well, look, this aliens and robots, this weird story, let's go straight to the top. Let's send it to Steven Spielberg and see what he thinks. And Julie was in the other room at the time, and I was on speakerphone taking notes, and I was trying to play it cool, like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a really good story. And I hang up the phone, and I'm like, Julie, she's like, I heard. And then she went back to like doing her homework for grad school, and I was just like staring at the wall, like, this is nuts. Like, this is insane. And then of course, I get a call. Like, his company, they like it, and then the next step is they say we don't do anything unless he likes it. He read it, liked it, and I've been going crazy since. We did the show, 2 seasons of it, and it's been an amazing ride. But the two things that sort of like going back to the two things that validated the one thing, which is I always believe, which is like if you keep writing and putting stuff out there, you're eventually going to have that one thing that somebody's looking for. And then the other thing was like it does take a little bit of luck. Like at any point, like this is the thing that keeps me awake at night. Sometimes when I'm like, and like my heart will start pounding, which is like at any point somebody would be like, this isn't really for me. I put it to the side. Like it could have gone 1,000 different ways. So, but you can't take advantage of those opportunities if you're not putting yourself out there and writing new things. So that's the short of it.
So yeah. Thank you. So after Extant.
Yep.
So. I don't have your story. I have a smaller version of the story where I did a show for the Travel Channel, and I thought, I'm in.
Yep.
It's all going to be gravy. Hooray! The offers are going to come flooding in, and now I can choose my next project. And hooray! And then it didn't happen like that.
No.
So what happened after Extant?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. The day after the pilot aired. Actually, the day after the pilot aired was pretty good. Like a bunch of people tuned in. It was pretty cool, and it's like there was a big push for it, and there were billboards around town. It was great. And they promoted it really well. So the pilot episode came and went. It was kind of okay. Like the numbers were okay, but I sort of felt this like tension around. Everybody was saying like, don't think about the numbers. Don't think about the numbers. But the first thing you do like the next morning is like, you're like looking at the numbers. TV by the numbers. What do we do? And then the second week there was like a big drop off. And so right then we knew it was sort of an uphill battle. And the show was expensive. We shot here in LA. We had an Oscar winner, who was a star, who was great to work with. But we always struggled to find our audience after that, and we managed to squeak in a second season, and then we got the axe. So we were in Denver when I got the call from CBS. We were driving back cross country, and I woke up to the call from the president of CBS saying, "Look, we like the show. It's really expensive, and doesn't financially work out for us, and hopefully work again." And then the great thing was, like, we were in the Rocky Mountains like an hour later. I had no cell service, so I couldn't torture myself by reading about it or like take all the calls. That's just great. So to go back to your question, I went back to writing the next thing. So I got very lucky. I got a call that fall because the show ended in the fall. I got a call about the show called Mars. It was going to be on Nat Geo. I did that for a couple months, and it was so basically like January, February, March. And the moment it ended, I wrote the pilot that I'm working, the pilot for the show I'm working on now called Reverie. And I had been interested in this idea about virtual reality and the idea about people getting trapped inside this fully immersive virtual reality program, and the idea of like the company would hire a former hostage negotiator to go in and pull them out. And I didn't tell anybody it existed because I'd done this thing for a couple months where I would like send stuff to my agents, managers, like an idea, a log line idea. And they would do what they're supposed to do, which is say, look, there's this thing, across town is kind of like that, or some other writer did this, but I didn't tell anybody that it existed. I just wrote the pilot again on spec. I had pretty good luck with Extant, and so I wrote this pilot called Reverie. Again, another sort of grounded sci-fi thing with another female lead, and just finally gave it to them like in May of last year. And the agents, and we went back to Avalon because I had a great time working with them, and they were awesome partners. And to my shock and surprise again, because I thought the same thing. I was like, look, you only get around so many times, like if this. But to my surprise, they were interested in it, and we took it, and again, it was something that specifically NBC was looking for, like the grounded, something like an emotional procedural that had an episodic engine and a female lead and was sort of grounded sci-fi thing. So
they had that on a list.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And not everybody was looking for that, right. But it fit. Again, I sort of like wrote something that was threaded a narrow needle, and so now we're working on the show. We're in the writers' room right now. We're going to start shooting in a month, and then it'll air after the Winter Olympics at some point.
Why did you feel the need to write? Don't write once you're in the door. Can't you just pitch and they pay you to write the script and all that? You wrote that on your own, don't you?
Yeah, and absolutely. And there are certain people, like there are plenty of writers who are like they want somebody to pay them to write the pilot, and I totally get that too. I find that I feel like here's the thing. I feel like if I'd gone out to pitch Extant, and I would have said it's about this female astronaut who goes to space for this 13-month solo mission, and when she comes home, she finds out she's pregnant. And that would have probably been like the end of the pitch. But the second I said, and then she has a robot kid, people would have been like, actually not. It's got to be one of the two things. So in development, half of that would have been stripped out. But to me, ultimately, what it was about was a story about a family, like an extraordinary family, and the varying degrees, just sort of pushing the boundaries of human evolution and retaining our humanity, is all that stuff. So there's that thing execution based. A lot of people say something is execution based, and I find that my stuff tends to be more like they're sound complicated and convoluted when I try to explain them. And the more that I can control that the more that I can win that battle on the page instead of like a pitch, the better. So and also it's sort of like gambling on yourself. I feel like at a certain point, I wanted to gamble on myself again because I believed in the idea, and I believe if I went out to pitch it would have died on the vine.
So how does it go? Because I'm going to guess most of the writers in the room here dream of winning a competition and having Steven Spielberg on the phone saying, "Come on down." And then what happens? You get put in a room with, like, I want to say, I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but like professionals, and we're like,
100%.
Well,
the first thing they do is give you a grown-up. Okay.
And who's your grown-up?
Like if you're coming from the outside and you've never, that was my first job in television, right. And these are like major corporations, it's tens of millions of dollars, so not going to hand. It's like open heart surgery. Like they wouldn't take like somebody out of med school, like I read a lot of books, and they're like like give them I watched a lot of medical videos. Yeah, here's the scalpel. Just the heart needs we need this heart out and that heart in. Like they wouldn't do that to you, right? So they give you a grown-up. So in my case, it's a little bit of an arranged marriage. So the agency they set up meetings with a number of showrunners, people who were real steady hands. They'd done network broadcast 1-hour dramas, and I met with them, and you sit down with them in Amblin, and it is like a little bit like an arranged marriage, and you just sort of find the person who you click with the most and the person who fits. So the first season, it was this guy Greg Walker, and he and I clicked right away over the story. He had a kid who was about he had a couple kids, but one of them was about the age of the kid in the show, and we talked baseball, like his kid in baseball and stuff like that too. And we sort of bonded over family, and he comes from has a faith side that's sort of similar to mine, and the same questions, and so right away we felt like this is a good fit. So yeah, and I'm still doing that. So the same thing happened with Reverie. That was 2 seasons. We had different showrunners the second season, so there was a bit of a creative reboot on Extant. I went through the Reverie pilot process without a showrunner. But when it got close, we weren't sure if it was going to be like 22 episodes, 23 episodes. There is this emotional procedural, which is something I've never written before. I tend to write mostly like fully serialized stuff. And it's a new network. So I was really happy to have a partner. And then we found this partner, this guy named Thompson Georgie. And same thing, had a meeting with him. He and I clicked. He's a very, very nice guy and really smart and thoughtful. And so we clicked right away. And so for now, still I have somebody who's in charge, who's leading it, which thank God, because every day I learn something. Every day I go, God, I'm glad you're here, because I would never have thought of that. And that's, I'm sure it'll be another 5 to 10 years of that. I mean, I learn stuff every day that I think, I'm sure he feels the same way. Like that there's still stuff that he's learning. So it may be a few more years before anybody hands me the scalpel.
This is the last one. Then we'll throw it over to what Halle Berry's really like questions.
I will be happy to spill it. Awesome.
Was it? Now looking back, was it what you thought it would be when you were on the outside looking in? You're like, if I could just win this freaking competition and get a meeting with Steven Spielberg, everything will be different. Now, was it like that?
In a lot of ways, yeah. Like in a lot of ways, there were things that were different, and in a lot of ways, no. It's like I'm still the same person, and I'm still walk the dog at night, and we still I mean, there are certain things that, like, when you get on the inside, like the really cool moments, the ones where you step back and go, like, well, obviously, like meeting him for the first time or talking and pitching, sci-fi ideas with him, and you go, this is a guy who made E.T. Like, you can't handle it, right? Yeah. But there's a moment, and people sort of always ask, like, what are your favorite moments? And there's a moment that's sort of happening right now too with Reverie, where you're talking about this stuff. It starts on the page. Like, I lived with this for a year before anybody ever really, else came in the sandbox. And now I'm walking through like the production offices, and there's like a day where all of a sudden this stuff that you talk about starts showing up at artwork on the walls. Mm-hmm. And that thing is like cooler than any, because it's like somebody took your imagination, and probably really talented artists and craftspeople start bringing that to life. And then at one point, I'm going to cry when I start talking about this. Mm-hmm. So by the way, don't feel bad, because I'm like, listen, my girlfriend will say like, I'll cry at the drop of a hat. That's why we're here. Absolutely. So you got to bleed it out on the page. But at a certain point, you walk onto a soundstage, and it exists in a 3-dimensional space, and it's fucking bananas. You're like, I'm walking through my imagination right now. Like I dreamed up this space station, and it exists, and I can walk through it now. And that part is like never not cool. And then other parts of it are like, it's like, every day. Like we had one thing I learned from Tom today. We were joking about too, which is like. The quote was like, when does sales mode stop? Because you're always trying, like, every document, I'm sure you guys have been through this too, it's like every story area, every outline, every script is, you're in sales mode. You're trying to like keep pushing this thing forward, and then you're selling the show to the audience and stuff too. And Tom was like, when does sales mode end? And he started laughing. He goes, when you get canceled. And I go, yeah. Sales mode ends, you get canceled. So there all that great stuff, and then there's a lot of like there are moments where you hear, okay, like here's the next hurdle we have to cross, and that's hard. And so yeah, but I mean, there's not a day goes by I don't feel like super lucky.
Okay, I did say last one, but I do have one more. Just from the writing point of view, doing the pilot, how many rewrites was it? You said it took you a year, the Reverie one?
Yeah, I mean, the first, from the time I
only say that because we really harp here on rewrites. There's a lot of writers, as you know, at the beginning, it's like, it's perfect. Right. I'm not listening to you, you're wrong.
Exactly. You don't get it.
Yeah, right, you don't get it. And even Randall, I'm keeping this line. And it's like, we've all been there.
For sure.
And so what's your process?
I think by the time... So sort of the process would be like, I have a couple friends who read things sort of first. They're my buddies, and they'll get the first draft of it, and then it'll go to my manager Brooklyn, and he'll have some thoughts, and I'll take those into account. By the time it reaches him, it's gone through about 4 drafts, and then by the time it goes to the agency, about another one, maybe like 5. By Avalon, 6. by CBS or NBC. But this time it was probably like 6 or 7 drafts. And then that development process starts with them because they bought the spec script, but they had like notes and changes and things too. So I rewrote it from. I probably did another 3 drafts from October through January when we got the pilot pickup, and then rewrote it all the way up to and then through the first couple of days of shooting. So it's a constant process like that.
And so, how much of the original exists in the current?
I would say like about a good 60%, because the thing that stayed pretty. It's sort of it's a premise pilot in the sense of like I got to bring this character into this new world. It's a little like a Dr. Carter on first day on the job in ER. Like I had to set up this thing about who this person is. They bring her into the company. She learns about the world. There's a bit of a training sequence for her and learning. So that part all stayed pretty steady. But the part that I struggle with, and the reason why it's great to have a showrunner who's done these kind of stories, is like the sort of mystery, the emotional procedural of it, and the pieces of the mystery and how those things lay out. That stuff changed pretty regularly. And even this is a great story. We were in Vancouver, we shoot the pilot. We did a table read with the cast. We were all in Vancouver, and we were like on live via video to people from NBC, everybody back home who was watching it there, and then we had a notes call with them afterwards. And we got the first thing we get from after the table is like, this is great. It was really good stuff. And then we're like waiting. It's like an hour, and I'm thinking about the discussions going back, and the longer it goes, I'm like, the worse it is. But like it was 2 days before we started shooting, and they were like. There was a pitch for adding this other character, and I was so frustrated because I knew they were absolutely 100% right, and it was going to be a lot of work over that weekend before we started shooting. But it made the pilot so much better. So there was, and then a week later, this little girl existed on set. There was an actress playing this little girl. A week later, fully in costume, saying her lines on the thing, and she didn't exist a week before in the pilot stage. So yeah, that it's a harrowing process. It's a little like. Holding on by your fingertips the whole time. Yep. Yeah.
But hey, at least you get paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, so do we have any Hallie or non-Hallie related questions?
This is a non-Hallie.
Okay, very good. Mate, it's just me. I have Jets and Halle Berry questions. That's all I got.
When you wrote Extant, did you know where the series was going to go, or did you sell it and be like, oh shit, now I need to map out the story?
No, I basically wrote for myself after, and I had a year before anybody heard about it. But the first thing I did was write a series overview for myself. I thought about where these characters would go, and it's the smartest thing I did, and I did it by accident, because the first thing that happens when I went in to sit down with Avalon was they were like, so where do you see this going? What are the stories? What's this character's emotional story? How does it? Where do you see it next season? Do you have an overall plan? And I had answers for a lot of those questions because I'd done that work. And I even to a point wrote a second episode of it just on my own. I didn't tell anybody about even into it, but I could speak to certain moments. I go, here, there's a scene coming up like this, and I could pitch the scene out, and since I was essentially writing fan fiction for my own show that didn't exist yet, But I had tons of, but because of that, and I think this is a huge thing, and I think it's a big part of why I kept going through the doors, is because I had answers to a lot of those questions, but saying, this could all change, but here's what I was thinking. I think this would be really cool if it went here, and made it a bit of yes and with them, as if they had ideas and thoughts to take it as a collaborative exercise in whatever meeting I was in, whether it was with Avalon, CBS at that point. I would pitch it here's where I think it could go, and they go, well, maybe you could do this, and I go, yes, that would be cool because or that sounds really cool. I should think about that. So. Does that answer your question? Yeah, very good. And I did it with Reverie too. Same thing. I wrote a very, for myself, a 10-page series overview about the character and where she would go.
All the hijinks.
All the
hijinks.
Exactly.
In virtual reality. Anyone else? Yes, I see an arm in the back there.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, you created a show with a female lead, and I felt that your show came on. It was quite ahead of the conversation about diversity, inclusivity. What was the reasons for that? Were you inspired by the movies, like the aliens and stuff like that, or was you aware of the sort of the lack of great roles for women?
I mean, first and foremost, I was aware of my own deficiency, which is I wasn't writing very good female characters. I was writing a lot of male characters, and the dudes and the women were the female characters were the wife or the girl. And so it was a challenge for myself first and foremost to do that, and also. But there was also a moment where I was thinking, as I was writing it, there was Breaking Bad and Mad Men and all these shows where there was the sort of male anti-hero of it too, and I wanted to write somebody who I was like, there's a niche here for not just a female lead, but somebody who was not an anti-hero, to somebody who's good-hearted, who wants to do the right thing, who an ordinary person, extraordinary position, or I would say an extraordinary person with an impossible situation. Because she's an astronaut, and I think they're smarter and cooler than the rest of us. Yeah. So that was it, and then I just like it more right now. I mean, to me, it's just more interesting because I feel like it pushes me to think new and to think from a different perspective. I like it more. Thank you, and we're excited. I mean, and that's the great thing about being on NBC too, because they have shows like that, and we have a really cool cast with a wide diverse set of viewpoints. So it's gonna be great.
Yes, it will. Anyone else? Randall.
After, I guess, your breaking in point, have you found that your actual writing process has changed at all? I mean, obviously there are different demands on your time now because you're going on meetings and all different kinds of things, and then sometimes you have a cut that you're working on and all of that. But in terms of the actual putting the words to the paper, has that changed for you at all?
My process was always pretty messy. It was pretty scattered. It was sort of whatever works at the time. If note cards are working in that moment for me, I'm going to go with note cards. If it's just if it's just a list of bullet points in my journal, that'll work too. If I need to sit with Reverie, I feel like I had learned a certain set of bad habits over 2 years of writing Extant, and picked up some bad things, and so part of it
stretching
happens.
it out in a pile of cocaine.
Yes, exactly right. I said bad habits. So there's a thing that happens in television a lot, and it happens more frequently in broadcast, but it happens everywhere, which is a character says, "I'm going to go do a thing," and then you go see them do the thing, and afterwards, I just came from doing this thing, and because it's the easy way, you can explain everything, right? And you can think. You feel like you got to handhold people through it, and a lot of times the people who give you those notes are right about that stuff because people aren't. I do it now when I'm at home. I'm half watching the show sometimes, and I'm half swiping through stuff. Not Silicon Valley, by the way. That one I'm in. So there was a certain amount of that I had to get away from. Formulaic things too. So I gave myself a reverie. I knew the first few beats, and I knew where I wanted where it to end, and I gave myself a period to just write and discover. I had a target toward the end. I didn't go in wandering blind with the forest, but I had to let myself kind of go for it. But now it really the thing about my writing process is a little different. Is that I have mistresses, which are the scripts that are not Reverie, and I have to visit them on the weekends in secret.
Please tell me you do that in a seedy hotel room.
I do in a seedy hotel room. It's a dark coffee shop, yeah. But because that's when it's just for me again. The Reverie belongs to everybody else now. It belongs to the showrunner. It belongs to the network. But I have something else that's just mine still, and it's a thing that isn't subject to criticism yet, and it brings me joy in that sense too. And I found that I started doing that in season 2 of Extant. On the weekend, I would take Saturday, Sunday. I would find a couple hours to go to my favorite coffee shop and keep writing something new, and just to keep the sort of joy of it. But I'll tell you what's good about TV writing now is that train is once that train is on the tracks, it never stops. And so I learned to write sitting in my car while I was waiting for notes calls for 15 minutes. I learned to write laying on the bed in the kids set, at Extant for an hour in between setups. I learned to write everywhere as opposed to whenever the mood hits, man. I'm just gonna, wait for the muse to arrive. The muse is your notes call, or the muse is the line producer. Where's my script, man? So, yeah. So that changed my process a little bit.
Yeah. What was something that you wish you would have been told before this whole process started? Some warning sign or flag?
That's a really good question. I'll tell you, And by the way, you and I shared a great back and forth because Uba was already in a writer's room, and so she was like, I'll tell you a bit what I'm learning from the inside, and I was like, I'll tell you what I learned from pitching the thing, and that ended up being something that really helped me. But I think the biggest thing, I wish people ask me like, what did you learn? And to me, the biggest thing I've learned is like, it's a miracle that anything is ever great. Good, let alone great, because there's so many things that can happen along the way. It's like, and I always say, like, starting with yourself. It's like you can totally miss the forest for the trees, you know. And every script that you're writing, and then it passes through so many processes and so many people, and then there's time and money, you know, all that kind of stuff. Or it's like you lose an actor, or you cast somebody who's great in the audition, and they're not, and midway through you change the character to something totally different, and so now you're like trying to put a square peg in a round hole in actors. That happens. I'm so sorry, and it's not your fault when it happens. But so that kind of stuff, I feel like I was a lot more opinionated about other people's shows before I started doing this one, and now I'm just like, God bless you. Like if you get an hour of television on the air, man, that's a phenomenal feat, you know. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, last question, then we've got to get out of here.
I just want to know, what is your process in the writer's room and working with the other writers, and how do you get them?
Yeah, I'm gonna say right now, the showrunner really leads the room. You know, he's really the person driving the room, and so the process usually tends to be what we did. I'll tell you just a little bit about the show, because there is kind of like this sort of episodic adventure thing. You know, not adventure, but mystery at the center of each of these episodes. We spent a couple weeks just sort of like, you know, called blue skying. What are the kinds of stories we could tell? You know, what are the places we'd want to visit? If you could go anywhere, if the whole thing's about designing your ultimate virtual escape, where would you want to go? What would you want to do?
In a jet.
Exactly. That could slam on the brakes, man.
Right.
And so we would talk about those kind of things. And then when it comes down to breaking an episode, it really is like there's a few days of talking about what is the beginning, middle, and end of the story. Where are the twists and turns that, you know, like we're going to want to see at the act breaks. You know, how does she figure out why this person is stuck and all that kind of stuff. And then once you're sort of laid out the broad strokes of it, then it becomes about scene by scene. And so it's really, it's a very democratic process. There are 7 or 8 people in there. Everybody's pitching ideas. He does a lot of curating and synthesizing things. I'm there to pitch just like all the other writers too, and then to be kind of a resource for somebody to go like, does that feel like the show, or how do you feel about that? Because that really kind of shifts the mythology a little bit going forward. And so I'm the kind of voice of that, you know, the guy who's been living with it for a year. Yeah, and then once this one's a little different. Like before, they're so heavily serialized. Like I just worked on The Strain, or like we did some Extant 2, like scene by scene. You would beat them out in pretty heavy detail. I don't know about you guys, how like your experience with, like for us was like, you know, the image going into the scene, what it's about, sort of the image going out of the scene, and almost Breaking Bad was this way too. I remember hearing, which was like at that point on the board, the episode exists in those cards. Almost any writer could take that and write that episode from it. Ours is a little different than that. It's not as much detail because there are a lot of writers who are used to this procedural model too. They came from shows like The Mentalist, that stuff too, where you had a little more writer freedom to sculpt the story too.
I did say last, but I think Camille has one, given she's a writer.
Yeah, I'm just so curious about your relationship with sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi fiend, and it's where the majority of my ideas like that would have shown it. But I just want to know about like how you know, you seem to have some
absolutely. I went through a period right before I moved out here, shortly before I moved out here. Like the stuff I told you, I made independent films and things like that too, and they tend to be very small, kind of niche things. They were there's a small drama, sports drama, and then there was another comedy. But I wasn't writing sci-fi. But I had to come to this point where I realized about myself. I wrote these a series of plays for this theater in Kentucky, and they were all for Halloween, and they're all genre plays. And the first one was Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Then we did Frankenstein, then Dracula, and then I did 2 original things. And by the end of those 2 original things, I was like, I'm an idiot for not writing these things more. I was thinking very much like an independent film director, producer, like what's the small thing I could make, like getting my friends and shooting in my parents' garage. But I had to come to grips with myself and go, like, if I'd seen my movie listed in a festival brochure, I wouldn't have gone to see it. Like, it wouldn't have been the first 5 movies I would have gone to see. But I would have gone to see Primer, which is this weird little time travel movie. That would have been first on my list. And then I had to realize, like, okay, I'm a person who goes to see the genre movie every, you know, like whatever it is, Aliens, people in tights, capes, robots, ghosts. Like, I'm there Friday night to see those movies, and that's the kind of stuff that I love. And I realized, like, I've been that way all my life. I'm a kid. My earliest memory is going to see Star Wars. So I had to realize, like, I should be writing the thing that I really want to watch, and that's mostly what I love to watch. And then for me, the other thing is too, because I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan, and the thing that Twilight Zone fan, he's an all-time hero of mine, Rod Serling, because you can use it as a Trojan horse to talk about other things. So, for instance, Reverie right now is about empathy, which is something I feel like we're in danger of losing right now. I feel like we can look around wherever you are and see the danger of that, especially like in the comment section of Deadline articles. So there's a loss of empathy there, and so it becomes that to me is like the real gift of it is to, if you can use it, if you can get these cool characters, great worlds, but you can also use it to talk about important things.
All right. By the way, I also think I'm a firm believer that there is something to be gained from watching terrible scripts.
Absolutely.
And I would suggest Valerian. From a script point of view. If you get the special effects, I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it yet, no.
From a script point of view, there are so many wrong turns in that thing. It's a lovely lesson to go and watch and be like, wow, look at that chunk of exposition that they've just dropped in there because they really needed to do this. And look at the way this character has nothing to do and it came and went. And it's like, so it's a really good thing sometimes to go and see bad scripts.
We'll do it.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys. Good luck, writers.
Yeah. So we will be back on September the 18th with an insider to be announced yet. We will also, this whole thing will be posted online within 24 hours, won't it, Jack? And that's it. Thank you so much for all coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Woo-hoo. Yes. Oh, picture.